Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch. Every once in a while, we talk about something else crafty, and as I get more and more into the artist trading cards with the cross stitch and maybe getting my stitching scrapbook, I'm starting to prepare stuff for that, including today I've got a pile of pieces that I know I'm just going to put in the scrapbook. So I'm going to start trimming them and then I can interface them and then we can get going. So there'll be some more interweaving of crafts in some of these videos. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. If you're new, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I know there's so many people to watch and I appreciate you giving my channel a try. I hope you like what you see. Hit like, subscribe, come back for more, ask questions, all of that good stuff. And if you're a returning friend, you know how much I appreciate being able to share our love of stitching together. Sit down, have a chat about stitching, and maybe you're stitching, maybe you're having a cup of tea or coffee or even a glass of wine, whatever it might be, depending on where you are when you're watching this. And I appreciate it. Okay, so I couldn't really settle on a project this week, so I have a lot of projects to show. Normally I show you about 7 or 8. I think I have 10 this week, and part of that was from last weekend and part of it was just I just felt like jumping around a little bit. So you're going to get to see a little bit of everything. But before I get into those projects, there's 2 things that I want to talk about. One, I had a question about what was 24 hours of cross stitch, and thank you so much for asking that, because that's one of those things that when I say it, I just kind of assume people know, but maybe you don't. So 24 Hours of Cross Stitch was created by Jen Lee. She's Quirks and Stitches, and I will give you her links down below in the description box. And so she started this project, and I think at the very beginning, I came into it late because I only started stitching back in late 2019, and then I've just been late to the party for pretty much everything. But I think in the very beginning it was straight 24 hours, just stitch for 24 hours, and it has morphed into, sometimes it is for some people still straight 24 hours. Then there's the likes of someone like me who could never do that. Physically I couldn't do it. I couldn't stitch and sit and stitch for that long regardless, but I also need the little sleep that I do get. So it has kind of become like a weekend event, and I believe they're quarterly. I think she has 4 of them a year. So you kind of count your stitching from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever. And sometimes if you follow, there is a Facebook group. I'll give you the name down below too, whether it's just 24 Hours Cross Stitch, I'm not sure, or if it's just the letters with the acronym. Sometimes people, they can't do it on whatever the designated weekend is, so they'll make their own. Maybe they have a long weekend off and they say, this is going to be my 24-hour cross stitch weekend, does anybody want to join me? And a lot of times too, on the official ones, people will show you what they're stitching on the Facebook group. Sometimes you'll see extra Flosstube videos, rainy day reads, I believe. If I have that right, I will link down below. Did a Flosstube kind of documenting the projects done in this past 24 hours of cross stitch. I'm almost sure I have that right. So look down below. I will put it with the 24 hours of cross stitch stuff if I have it right. I say these things like I know exactly what I'm saying, and then I start to second guess myself in the middle of the sentence. But I never have ever gotten to 24. I'd say 12 hours over the 3-day period is probably the best I've ever done. And that's fine. I think of it as, oh, I did a half marathon of stitching. That's what I look at it as, frankly. And I just have fun with it, and it's just a chance. Sometimes I touch more projects, which I did this weekend, or sometimes I just do my normal whatever stuff. It's funny because I generally have less time to stitch on the weekend when Mo is off work. So my weekdays I should have a 24-hour mini stitch session on 3 weekdays. I'd have a better shot of getting it done. But so that's it in a nutshell. If you go to any of Jen Lee's sites, and again, I will link her Instagram, her Flosstube, her Facebook. I'll link all of that, and you can see some more information on that. So that's it in a nutshell. Then this past week, I think it was just 2 days ago, I kind of finally got my act together. I kept kind of forgetting when the light was good, and I'd remember at night, and then I said, oh, well, that wouldn't work. If right here, right next to me, my floss organization drawers, I finally did a little quick video. It was, I think, a 6-minute video. It's not very long. There's not a lot to talk about. So I put that out on Wednesday, and I got a couple questions. And the measurements one I meant to write down. I am 99% sure each one of these is 19.5 inches wide and 15.5 inches tall. I did answer. If you asked me in the video, I did answer. So if you want to completely double check, put a question in that video, and I will double check my measurements, but I'm almost sure that's what it is. And then secondly, I had somebody ask if bobbins would fit in these drawers, which is a fabulous question and idea. Now, these bobbins I have are old. I don't know if they're the same size as they are now. Back when I was stitching 30 years ago, I did bobbinate. I don't do that anymore. And I actually found a couple of the, do you know just the plastic drawer thingies that you stick all the bobbins in? I found those. Somehow or other they made the travels with all my craft supplies over the last 30 years with the different places I've lived. So I'm gonna bring it up close. They almost fit, but they do not, which is such a bummer. Now, I don't know if current bobbins are the same exact size, or if there's the way to make them. They really only need to be the teeniest bit smaller. I did put them in here, and I tried to close the drawer, and it didn't close. It did get stuck. So if you want me to, measure what size these are, or to measure the drawer or anything like that, I'd be happy to. Just throw me either throw me a comment on the video, or you can even send me an email or a message on Instagram, and I'd be happy to check that out for you. So sadly, it almost worked, but not 100%, at least with the bobbins I did. Now, it kind of defeats the purpose if you fill it less. If you filled it less and then kind of angled them a little bit, yes, it would work, but then you couldn't get in as many bobbins. It would be a great idea if you were able to just put them all in a row and then put them in there. But I'm gonna say no, unless the size of bobbins that you have would be different than what I do. Okay, so that was the second question. Any other questions, feel free. I'd be happy to check on things for you. Okay, so those are my questions. Let's talk stitching. I did 10 projects this week, most of which you have seen before. Now, this first one you're going to see every week until it's done, because it has become it's getting close to a finish. That'll probably take me at least a month still. There's more stitching than you realize there. But I think I actually got a good 1,000 stitches in it this week, because what I'm doing is I'm giving it 2, sometimes 3 strands a day. And there was one day when I had a chunk that I really wanted to finish. So I got way more. I did way more than just 2 strands of stitching. But it is Northern Lights by 2x2 stitch art. So that's what it looks like. All of that is full coverage. All of that is stitched. And this is what it looks like. So I'm getting there. I got a huge chunk done over here. This is on 18 count white Aida, a very thick Aida. It's funny because when I was pulling out the projects that are going in the scrapbook, when I came back, I finished a project that was almost done, but had sat for years, not completed. And I want to say it's the same thick Aida. So obviously I must have gotten that a long time ago, because that project is probably a good 20 years old, I think. But anyway, this is much thicker than what the current Aida is. But anyway, so I really concentrated over here. There was a big chunk of a lot of so over here we have a deep navy blue. Over here it's black. And I am using 310 for this one. I don't know why I didn't do it in Anchor. I generally switch out Anchor black for 310. And I did get a question about that. I like it just because it feels a little thicker than DMC 310 for me. And I do like 2 strands on 18 count. And it's not perfect coverage, but I feel sometimes it's a slightly better coverage. But I'm looking right at it right now, and it's 310 that I'm using for this one. So who knows? I must have just maybe without thinking grabbed it. But I did a huge chunk all up here, and then some more color. This is a little dicey between where the trees, all of that, and then some colors. So I concentrated on lots of big chunks. That's why I'm thinking this may take me a little while, because it's going to go a little slower paying attention. But it's a lot of fun. This was a pattern picked out by Connor. I have no idea how we're going to finish it. I'm not sure if we're going to attempt a circular finish or a hoop or what. I don't know. I have no idea yet. So we'll see. I just got to get it finished stitched yet. My goal is it was started last December. My ultimate goal would be to have it be done within a year. So that's why now I've decided this is a weekly thing to get it done. And so that I can get some, I have a lot of small projects that I start and I finish, but I'd like to get some of the bigger ones done as well. So that's Northern Lights 2x2 stitch art. Okay. All right, this stuff's going on the floor today. There's too much. I think if I tried to put it on the table, the pile would go all right down on the floor anyway. All right. This week, this is a continuation of last week's start of a full coverage. Not a start, but I did 2 days last week, and then I worked through Tuesday on this one through this week. It's Mini Paris Morning. The artist, it's Uliana Babenko is the artist, and it's a Heaven and Earth. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And yep, still up here. I had, last week when I talked about this, I said, oh, I'm going to get this curtain done. Yeah, no, because I'm at the point now where there is confetti. So it's not quite as quick as I thought it would be. And I did, just to add a different color, I did jump down into a little bit of that window frame, door frame. So one of these days I have to have it where I can't have it folded over. So if you're to open it all the way, this is the length across, obviously with your 3-inch margin. So that's the size that way, but I'm going to fold it over because you don't need to see all that extra fabric. So that's what it is. I did start to plug away at all of these little spots of confetti, and I also, there's a lot of confetti with the leaves here. So I would do some on the curtain, but I also wanted to get some done here. So I jumped and I did a lot of confetti this week. I still got to about 100 stitches a day. I think so. In a couple days, maybe 150. But that was what I tried to do goal-wise. And that's why sometimes you'll see some extra blocks of color, because if it's been particularly confetti heavy, like here, it's like, can I do a strand of just something straight? And that'll take away from the monotony of the confetti. So this one's going to go away for now. I love this one. And if I hold it back, I can start to really see that door frame and the window with the leaves coming through. So it's really exciting. I know when I watch a lot of different people who stitch full coverage, and they'll talk about how that piece is coming out now when they look at it. And it's so cool to see how, because when you're in on it and you're looking close, you can't see a thing. But then, yeah, when I look at it this way, I can start to see it actually come alive. So that's kind of cool. I'm fairly new to this full coverage stuff, so I get impressed easily still. So that one is Mini Paris Morning. Okay, next. And oh, I didn't take out my cover sheet on this. Let me see. Here we go. I had put it in the wrong spot, so it was missing for a few days. But I pulled out my spring Quaker. I'm doing the digital version or I got the digital version on this. I do have the hard copy on Summer. That's what it looks like. And here is, that's a really tough, bad picture, but that's all 4 of them, which is really cool. What she's done, and I don't know if you noticed that in last week's video, is the motifs, if it ends here, it picks up on the other side with the next season. So if you want to stitch them in a row, I know she shows them with a few, say 5, I'm just throwing a number out there, boxes in between and then starting the next one. But you can clearly see a continuation of some of the designs. So that's kind of cool. I am not stitching them all together. They'll be stitched all separately. I will stitch all 4. And this is spring. This is where I am. So I really decided I want these to be distinct, probably bold colors with totally monochromatic, as opposed to Lady Halloween. I did add some color to it. I'm doing them all in the same, is it 939 DMC? No, 823. So it's 823 is a deep navy, and I'm doing them all in that. And then I think all the colors I've picked, and I'll do that purposely, will look good with that deep navy. But I think I got a decent amount done on this, except for what's in here. This top part's completely done, including, oops, there's a little bit of fluff on there. The back stitch. So you have butterfly here, and you have the kind of the fluttering motion, and then the birds. The bird, where's the bird? His little legs. There's not a lot of back stitch, just a few places here and there to complete the design. This is 18 count Dancing Queen by Fortnight Fabrics. It was a fabric of the month in one of my Fortnight clubs this year, 2022. I love it. I love it so much. And I don't do pink a lot. I like pink, but I'm never sure, especially something like this as opposed to a very pale pink. I'm never sure what exactly might look good on it, and I am so thrilled that I decided to do this. So yeah, I was currently working in this area right here when I put it down. So I don't know if I'll do any this week with this one or if it'll get a break. We'll see. But that's where it is right now. And if you're stitching them or planning on stitching them, I'd love to hear your plans. If you're doing them separately, if you're doing them, what color you're doing them on, maybe you're doing them on more of a neutral and changing out the flosses, or I'd be so curious to see what you're doing. So let me know and show me pictures if you got them, because I love to see pictures. Okay. Now this one, I'm not sure when I showed this one last. Might be a few weeks ago. This one is called Colorful Dog, and it's from Wonderland, Ukraine on Etsy. So that's, I call it a he because I started stitching this after we lost Shamrock. So I like to stitch on this one to kind of remind me of my little buddy. Ooh, and it almost went flying. There's nothing graceful about a ground-bee. I always laugh that it's a good thing my mother never named me Grace, because there's nothing graceful about me. When I was young, those terms bull in a china shop might have been uttered more than once by an adult. Okay, so I chose green fabric specifically because I wanted it because of Shamrock's name, and he was Shamrock Seamus. I don't know, we just had fun with that. But anyway, that's what it looks like up close. It's almost going to start to look like a dog because I'm getting close to getting ready to stitch his eye. This is his ear right here and coming down to the nose. So it still sadly doesn't look like a lot, but it's going to be one of those things that's going to start to come together. You're going to say, oh, that's what it is. This is an 18 count Honeydew Melon from To Die For Fabrics. I was concerned that maybe those top colors wouldn't show up, but I think looking at it from the picture here and certainly in person, it's funny, in person things look even more contrasting when it comes to the flosses. Sometimes the flosses that you're not sure they're going to show up, and they do show up, but not a ton. in person really do. And on this, it really does pop. It's fine. That was the one thing when I started, because I did start up here. I started, generally a lot of times I start upper left corner, you'll notice, especially with my full coverages. But on this one, I did start upper middle. I used to, back in the 90s when I stitched, I was a center starter. And I don't know why when I came back to it, I just gravitated more to the top. And that's where I find I'm doing it now. So I think too, it helps me with the fabric. You can see I've already cut, not all my pieces do I do this, but I've already cut. And I find if I start from a corner and work my way, I feel like I can tell if I'm gonna have room on each corner. And I don't know why that's probably, it could be easier the other way, I don't know, but in my brain, that's why. So one of these days you will be able to tell that this is a little doggy, just not quite yet. I'm loving all the colors. I haven't even gotten to all the oranges yet. And then there'll be more greens and blues on this side. So yeah, getting there. Next, I originally didn't think I would pick this up this week. I thought I was going to give myself a break with it, but I really enjoyed it last week. So I said I want to do some more. And it is Sailing Dreams by Barbara Anna Designs. As soon as I saw this, it was so beautiful. I loved it. And I was thinking there, stop talking. I was thinking about how I liked it so much. But, you know, I like to kind of change colors a little bit. You know, obviously the previous piece, I chose green specifically because of Shamrock. This one I chose, and I've said this before, you know, I would normally go blueness potentially, but because there's so many shades of blue, I wanted something different. And so this is kind of sunrisey, sunsetty kind of summer colors. And so I went with this. This is called Night Fever. It's 18 count and it's from Fortnight Fabrics. It too was a fabric of the month. Fortnight has 4 clubs. I get mini sizes of their opal. What's this called? It might be called Groovy Gradient actually. And I have liked every single one that they have sent this year so far. I really enjoyed being in that one. So let's bring it up close. This whole sun got done. I finished up the top of her and now I'm starting to go into her face. And I think I did a little bit here too. So much fun. Again, a lot of these, actually the top is completely done. Yes, I did do that extra cloud. I had one straight cloud I had to finish up. A lot of that extra stuff, it shows, but it's a little bit more subtle and less highlighted, and I love that because she is going to be the focus. I think there's some fish on each side and a little bit down here at the bottom, but I really want her as the front and center focus. So that's what it looks like, and you can just see the outline of the face. I got a little nervous on this one when I was looking at where the bottom of the fabric is, but I think I did do a count, and it's fine. But I don't know if a lot of you do that, where as you start stitching either on the sides or the bottom, especially when it's already cut, and you kind of go, I don't know if I counted that right. Excuse me. But I'm almost sure I did. So that is Sailing Dreams. And again, I'm not sure I will do it again this week, but I sure enjoyed what I did this past week. All right. Okay, next. So this next one, let me pull out this one is one of my little minis, not mini Halloween. You know that I've started to jump into the world of artist trading cards and cross stitching them. And I am so loving looking at patterns in a different way. So you will see me stitch pieces of patterns, which is so fun because then you can pick and choose. So I showed you the fabric recently. I don't know if it was last week or the week before it, of this Signs series Summer, say that fast 10 times, from Twin Peak Primitives. So I was looking at it and I was trying to decide, was there something I could do from it? Because I thought it would be a lot of fun. I have the fabric and I am going to do something along the more neutrally lines, kind of a caramelly brownish with that. But I just wasn't feeling like a start with this. But when I was thinking about, I would like to, especially, you know, I know some of you have said you would be willing to trade with me. So I do want to, on a regular basis, come up with ideas and plans for these. And so I've been looking at my patterns, especially the ones that maybe I've already thought about doing, because they're front and center. So what I did was, because most of my fabrics are, I was gonna say 14 count, but no, they're 18 count. I basically did all the math. The artist trading card, the ATC is 3.5 by 2.5. So I did the math with 18 count. And so this way I know what size pattern, stitch size, count size would fit on that small area. I have some 16 count, so I do want to do the math again. If you have any questions about the math and you've looked at a pattern and you're doing, you know, 14, 16, 18, or, you know, 20, whatever it happens to be, and you want me to, you know, to just kind of double check with you, I'm happy to do that. Reach out. I'm not great at math, but I like that kind of math. I never liked the crazy math. Once the kids got a certain spot in math in high school and they had a question, I said, go talk to your father. But I do like all of the this kind of adding, subtracting. I don't know. This part I like in my brain. But anyway, I digress. I was looking at, I think I was originally looking at the lighthouse. And at some point I do want to do a lighthouse ATC. But I don't know if this one, I don't know, there was some reason why I didn't. These chairs are cute, but I just did the Adirondack chairs, one that I had as my very first. So then I was looking at the beach huts. And they have the 3 beach huts there. I did the math, and yes, that would fit. Now, the center beach hut, the yellow one, it was kind of pale, so I did change that out from what this is patterned. And the red was more of that maroony red. What is that? Is that like 3777 or one of those? Yeah, terracotta. And I didn't want that. I wanted red. So I did change a few of the colors from the pattern. And as a heads up, if you do stitch this, the red, there's a mistake in the chart. And I meant to, I've totally forgotten until I'm talking to you about it now. I meant to go to Twin Peak Primitives site, not their Etsy, but they have a site. I was going to see if they have a corrections page. I think they, from what I can tell, they just left off some stitches on the top row of the red. So pretty much what I did was I used the blue pattern. They kind of messed up in a few places. There were a couple of the white stitches missing, I think in the yellow as well. But I took the blue pattern, which was completely, you know, mistake free. And I did that 3 times. So let me show you. The sun's gonna, so that's what it looks like. Now it's not finished. I miscounted my days. What I did was I would stitch the color outline of a hut, and then I would do the white the next day, and then the next one. And I didn't count my days right, because then I was going to do a finish on this, and I thought it'd be fun to maybe film it and do it as a Flosstube extra, because I know some of you are a little nervous about finishing and how to do it and so on and so forth. And I mean, they can be done in so many different ways. And maybe if I do something different on some of them, maybe I'll do other little mini extras, because those can be probably 10-minute videos, 15-minute tops. So they can be little mini videos. I notice a lot of paper crafters do have some have nice long videos, but some of them have short videos, you know, 5-10-minute videos. And that's kind of what they put out regularly. So maybe we can mix and match. I did put the interfacing. I did iron that on the back. So that's all set and ready to go. So it's a little bit stiffer than it normally would. This is 18 count. It is just a scrap. So I have no idea what it is for fabric. And that probably will be, you know, once they get too small, I don't keep the names with them. So I don't necessarily know if I'll always be able to tell you what color, but you can just have some sort of idea. I chose this because I kind of wanted a beachy background. I think I'll keep not this much, but I'll keep a little bit at the bottom, and that will be the bottom of the ATC. I'll put it flush with the cardstock base, and I have some ideas for up top. I'm not sure yet, so we'll get there. But that's what that looks like. So again, here we have this great big pattern, and I just picked a piece out of it, did a little counting to make sure. I think for 18 count, and it's somewhere in the low 60s by somewhere in the low 40s. Don't quote me again. If you want the exact numbers, I do have the 18 count fabric figured out. So I know, okay, one side has to be, because these can be in either direction. I know one side has to be less than, 63 maybe, and no more than, say, 45. I don't know. I'm throwing those numbers out there. And then I just go and I pick patterns. So take a little bit of that, and this is the start of it. So I will try to get some time, pull out my stuff, and do a finish on this for next week, and then maybe I'll also have a video on that. So be on the lookout. All right, so that was my ATC of the week. I have some ideas of what other designs I want to do for some other ones that I'm doing, because I want to stash them up so that, because I know people have already reached out about swapping, trading, and I need to get some done. Okay, next. This is, again, I didn't pull out my thing. These would be, I know for a fact, for 18 count, and I don't know for the others, I've not measured, but if you have this, these would be super cute as ATCs, and they most likely would be fine size-wise if you did one, picked one of these separately. Not with the number. You wouldn't need the number really, but any of these little pictures would be adorable. But it is Halloween calendar from Tiny Modernist, and I'm doing them all separately. So we are on day 22, which is the chandelier. And that one was a pretty easy one. Again, I usually break it up per color, but I actually finished it, except for the back stitch. I did that on a third day, but I took some time from 2 different days to stitch it and then back stitched it one morning. This week was not a great sleep week for me. Some weeks are better. I was on a little trend where I would get to sleep till about 6, which was really nice. This week by 5 a.m. I was awake. Awake. And I would sit there for maybe 5 minutes, lay there and attempt to try to go back to sleep, but it wasn't working. And he's able to sleep later than me, of course, right? So I would just get up out of bed, because if I keep tossing and turning and this and that, he's gonna wake up. So I would get out of bed, I would come up here, and I would stitch. So this week, by 5:15, almost every morning, I was up here stitching. So that's partly why I have so many projects too, because I generally do not start my stitching day that early. If I'm, by the time you get up and get out of bed in the morning, and then all the stuff, morning stuff that you do, that I generally start later in the day stitching. So this was an extra bonus. I guess there was a positive to not sleeping. So let's bring it up close. That's day 22. This is an 18 count Midnight Tryst by Fabrics by Stephanie. I don't know if this is one of those colors, and Stephanie's pretty good about it, that if it looks drastically different between, say, an Aida or a linen, she'll mention that in the description. And I want to say there's a color or two that she won't even do certain fabrics, because she just can't get a good constant replication of it. Because I think this looks a little bit different on the computer. She generally shows her fabrics on linens, not Aidas. And obviously each count of Aida will be different color too. But I got this and I love this color, so I was happy with it. But that's day 22. All done. Super cute. Next is the Storm, PTP, Picture This Plus Storm. And it's day 23 is next. The little candy. So that should be, actually there's that yellow looks like it wouldn't be much, but there's at least 2 shades of yellow in there plus the others. So that'll be a lot of little color changes. And that's one thing, if you pick this out, whether you stitch it as all one piece or little pieces, there are a lot of color changes on these. They look small and they look like, oh, that'll be easy. But she does do multiple colors. So just be ready for that. It's super cute though. So that'll be my next week. And I am definitely trying to keep up with one a week, because I feel like if I don't, it'll just go in the back of the pile of projects and it won't see the light of day until next year. So I'm really making an effort to get that one finished this year. Okay, so on Wednesday I pulled out a new full coverage piece, and I hadn't stitched on this one for a little while. I want to say probably at least over a month, because I've been rotating my projects through. So I have enough started, and I really, really want to start a couple more full coverage. My goal, you know, my goal is to enjoy my stitching process. If I get it finished, great. If I don't stress. So the fact that I start more when I already have X amount running doesn't really faze me. But this one is Little Red Riding Hood. It is the fuller size. It's not the mini. And Anya Kai is the artist. So this one is going to be a lot of grays, blacks. I am using Anchor for this one. I did pull that. And then there's some purples and things like that. And there'll be a lot of that except for her in the center. I'm prepared for that. I bought a lot of 3799 and a lot of Anchor black for this. So this thing is huge. Let me show you. This is my fabric for this. So this one is going to be a lot bigger than my minis. I'm not going to lie. And I looked at this one for the mini, but for some reason, I didn't quite like it as much. I don't know if it was the way it was cropped or the color on the screen or what. So I went with the big one. Obviously, that's all I have right now. And I just jumped around to fill in. This one has definitely blocks of color, and then like little bits of confetti mixed in, especially with the tree area and so on and so forth to get the different shades. So you'll see some open spots right there. I worked on some of those, and then I would work on chunks of color depending on what I was doing. So again, it doesn't look like much, and it probably won't for a while, but I really like this one. There's something about it. I think it's the splash of red in the middle of all those other deep colors that I like. So it's a little bit different than all the others, and maybe that's why I like it too, because I'm not sure you could put me in a category of a certain type of stitcher, you know, of a design I stitch. I think I'm pretty much a jump around to most styles. It's kind of like music. If you were to ask me what genre I like most, I'm not sure I could tell you. I love all sorts of music. I like all sorts of stitching too. So there we go. Not a lot. 18 count white Aida. And I don't think I mentioned on Mini Paris, if you're new, I do 2 strands over 1 full cross on my full coverages. So that's that. Okay. And then last, but certainly not least, I had no plans to stitch on this week. And then yesterday, I was looking at, I mean, it's not like I didn't have, oh, you know what? There's one piece that I jumped past. Hold on a second. It should have been, I don't know where it is. I had an extra piece that, it should be in that pile, and it probably is, and I'll show it to you next week. So you get an extra piece that I haven't, yeah, because I'm looking at it and I went from one to the other. Okay, so anyway, I digress. Nothing's ever scripted here. I am totally off the cuff, and I'm so glad so many of you liked I ironed my cross stitch more than my clothes comment, because it really is the truth. Don't tell my mother-in-law. Okay, so anyway, I had no plans on stitching on this, and then yesterday, you know, it's not like I didn't have a whole bunch to choose from. I just decided I wanted to stitch something different, something in my group of stitches that I hadn't stitched this week. I couldn't settle. So I pulled Serena back out. This is Serena Sprout from Autumn Lane Stitchery. I didn't get a ton because it was probably about 450 stitches. I think. I do keep track, but I don't necessarily know a lot of times off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. And I focused, I'll show you the full thing in a minute, but I did focus down here, and I was working completely on this. And yeah, okay, the green, the sea green was done. The center and all this other greenery was what I stitched, and that was 450 stitches. So there's good chunks of stitching in here, even though it's not you know, you look at it, you say, okay, there's different parts of it. It'll go quick. It still takes some time because there's good chunks. Her dress is a nice big chunk of stitching. But this is 18 count Honeydew Melon again, same as what my colorful dog was on. And it is from To Die For Fabrics. It was the same piece, so they look exactly the same. I think between those two and the little blackbird I might have used up this fabric, unless there's a scrap or so in my scrap pile, which you would have seen my scrap pile on the floor because I don't have a plan for that yet in the floss organization video. But anyway, so that's what it looks like as a whole. There is a hashtag serenasproutsal, serenasproutsal. If you want to look it up on Instagram, you can see other people stitching this. And you know, I got a huge chunk last week. This week, just a little bit extra, keeping going with it. So I am 95% sure that she will now be put away for this week because she got an extra week's worth of work. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll feel differently as the week goes along, but that's my thought process at the moment. Let me put this drawer of bobbins up here so I don't send them flying. Okay, so normally I don't have plans, but sometimes I start to pick fabrics for projects and I like to show them to you because you know I'm a little out of the box with that. And this week I feel like both of these are definitely a little out of the box. And some of you are going to say, Laura, you're crazy. And some of you are going to like, oh, I like it. This one I did do a floss toss on because I do have the floss 4 and it does look cute. So I have the Little Beach Cottage by, I'm going to go back here because the pattern is behind, Hands on Design. So it's part of the beach series. I don't have all of them. I don't plan on getting all of them. I am not sure. This sign, you have the words and then it's all stitched in, I don't know if it's white. Well, it's not, you know, DMC is not her regular, she just gives you examples in DMC. What color is that supposed to be? Oh, yeah, so 3865. I'm not sure. I will do that. I might let the background of the fabric, we'll see what it looks like. That means I might have to change the color of the wording depending on the background, but we'll see. So that's the pattern. And this week you're going to see a trend with my plans, but I'm going to go purple. This is called Purple Haze from To Die For Fabrics. It's not a deep purple and it's not too bright of a purple. It's much more of a lilac-y. And I threw the flosses on there and I think they looked good. And I wanted to do something a little bit different than my traditional, okay, I can do a green or a, you know, or a blue, or I can go along those lines, or you can just do like this is done in, what is this done in? Does it, I'm sure it says age, no, I don't know. I'm not seeing it right away, but you know, it's a neutral, which for beach ones is fine because then you kind of have that sand look, but I wanted something different. So this one is going on Purple Haze. I'm almost sure. I reserve the right to change my mind at any given time. So that's that one. And then I have, and I got this, I don't know, a good year ago at least, Midnight Watch from Blackbird Designs. I don't think I'm going to stitch the alphabet. I'm going to stitch from here up, and I will just bring the border most likely across underneath there and skip the alphabet part. I stitch the alphabets once in a while, but I'm not a, oh, let's stitch all the alphabets kind of person. I like them in some cases, and I am doing them with I'm doing it in the Spring Quaker right now. I'm halfway through. But sometimes I just like the picture, to be honest with you. So think of it this way, but with the border right here. And I'll, you know, obviously I'll have to check the bottom to make sure that'll look okay. So that's what I'm looking at. And I have two different, I'm going purple again. And I think these colors will all look really great against purple. I have a lighter and a darker. One, actually I'll put down this for a minute. One is an opal. So that's the lighter, and that's opal if I want to have that shiny background. But I'm not sure I want to go this light. There's this one, which is called Bewitched. And this one, I don't know what it's called or who it's from. I don't have a label, which is surprising. to me. It's 18 count. They're both 18 count. But this one is Bewitched from To Die for Fabrics. So I don't have the flosses for this yet. I have a feeling what I will do is I will grab the flosses. I'll throw them on both, see which one I like better. I'm not wedded to it having to be opal, but I do have opals and I might as well use them, right? I'll have to think about it, but I think I'm gonna go purple. You know, I like doing purple for Christmas. I've done purple for, you know, obviously lots of people do purple for Halloween, but think outside the box. I love that lilac that I did for Christmas on purple. I'm doing purple now with a summer piece. There's so many different things and ways you can do. This one may or may not be put in my craft room, or it may go in the scrapbook. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure with this one either. Kind of depends. Most of what I create would have to be here in the craft room, and I have limited space there, obviously rotating it, but that also means that means more for the scrapbook. So those are the plans potentially. I do have to get some floss for this before I do anything more on that, but I do have the floss for this one, so we'll see. I'm thinking for August, you know, I've been doing the big bright colors or beachy for June and July. I've really been enjoying that. And I think on August, I'm not giving myself any parameters, any boundaries of any sort, no rules. So I may continue, I may start things that are bright or summery still. I may go Halloween. I may go, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go where the wind blows me on that one, and where the needle stops. So we'll see. So that's it for plans that I know of future wise. I mean, I do enjoy trying to find fabrics for things, and then once I have it, then when I feel the need for a start, if I had the fabric and the floss, we're good to go. So that's that. For shopping, I have one piece of shopping that I did. I was on Facebook, and Coffee Craft Fabrics, she had done a bunch of different fabrics on the Facebook page, and she was doing different counts and different things, and she showed some 18 count, and I figured, oh well, let's get some. And you know, I picked up 3 because I figured if I'm going to have it being shipped from the UK, I might as well get my shipping's worth, right? So I picked up 3, and they're all 18 count. Good news is that Coffee Craft Fabrics she's now got, or starting, a website. So it'll be cool to be able to go on there to find stuff. But she has been listing lately things that she's made or has, and putting them on Facebook, and you can say if you want it. So look on there too if you're interested, especially if you're one of my UK friends. None of them have names. They're just all 18 counts. And these are all 18 by 27s. So look at that. Isn't that pretty? Not named. This side is more greenish with the blue. And then on this side, it's a little bit more bluish with some green. So that was the first one. Then this one it's funny because that first one was a blue base. This one is same color schemes, but definitely a green base. So you'll see, oh, I hope this color is coming out. This is not my final spot for where I'm going to film. I do want to turn a bit, but I don't know what will happen with the colors. But this one is definitely more of a green base, but it's super pretty. And it's more shades of green. So you've got the light green and then different darker greens, as opposed to the other one being blue and green. And then this last one is a purple base, but there are some slight shades of pink in it. And as always, you see the modeling stronger on the screen than it is in person. It's not that stark in person. So those 3 I picked up. I'm going to look for her website, and I'm going to link it down below under my shopping section. I usually, when I do some shopping, if it's not a link that I normally give, like my regular fabrics, I usually give links just every week. But if it's not one of those regular links, I always add it to the shopping. So always look there if you're looking for something that I may have shown you. So I will do that, and you get a chance to maybe pick up some fabric if you want. All right, so that's it. That's the shopping.